In today's transfer target video, we're going to be talking about the best players to go and buy ahead of double game week 28 and the return of Son. Before we dive into today's video, I just want to say that we're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season. So if you do want to help us hit that goal, be sure to like, comment, and of course the main one being subscribing to the channel. That'll help us hit the goal. Obviously, if you have been living under a rock or maybe you've not played FPL for a few weeks, this is the double game week we are discussing. It's Luton and Bournemouth. Probably not the two teams we expected to be kind of loading up on, but both teams do have very strong doubles and very good kind of reasons for owning their assets in kind of the next few weeks after that as well. So we're going to start off with Luton, Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, both away fixtures. They are in a little bit of all sorts of form at the moment. This is being filmed while the Aston Villa game takes place. They are suffering from a lot of injuries in the defensive areas as well, so I do think that potentially limits some of their assets. Now, the reason you might go for these, aside from the double, is the fact that they do feature in game week 29 with a fixture against Nottingham Forest. So if you aren't looking to free hit, and maybe that double game week can potentially negate a -4 this week, and gives you an extra player for game week 29 and means you save that free hit. I do think Luton players do have some kind of good utility over the next few weeks. Arguably though, Bournemouth do have the better of the two game weeks. They are playing the worst team in the league in Sheffield United, then Luton at home, both home fixtures for them as well. Absolutely amazing stuff. Unfortunately, no game in game week 29 for Bournemouth, but after that it's Everton, Palace, Luton, Manchester United and Aston Villa. But in game week 34, they potentially have the probability of getting another double game week in there as well. So even if it doesn't quite work out this double game week, they've got good fixtures for game week 30 onwards. So if you are on the free hit for 29, still pretty good. But then after that as well, the fixtures do keep coming and the potential of another double game week. So I definitely think Bournemouth are the team that I am favouring, maybe getting 2 assets, not 3. I think 2 is probably the limit for these teams. They are both bottom sides, but I think Bournemouth are my kind of preferred favourite if I was to go out and buy any this week. So let's take a look at some potential Bournemouth assets you could be going and buying. There are some other ones, but I just want to put this out here straight away. I don't think any of the midfield assets are worth invested in. There's too much rotation and they don't get enough attacking returns for me. This is being filmed before Bournemouth do play on Sunday as well. So Dominic Solanke is in here, but if he doesn't feature, I do think that lessens his impact on that double game week. We're obviously going to have to wait for team news. We're going to have to wait for press conferences as well. But from kind of the initial kind of thoughts that I'm having on Saturday, apparently he's travelled to Burnley, so that's a good sign. He also apparently trained today as well, so again, a very good sign. And in the press conference, Iriola said it wasn't as kind of worse as they first thought. So again, all positive and encouraging signs. So if he definitely plays in 27, I think he's a must-have for 28. If he doesn't, then let's just wait and see on the press conferences. But for me, like I said, I think he would be the #1 player I would go and get out of all of the players doubling in game week 28. He is the key figure. He is the main man. If he's fit and available, he probably will be a captain with those amazing fixtures. 14 goals, 3 assists for him so far this season. Pretty good points tally as well to go with that. On top of that, he does have penalties as well. So for me, an absolutely #1 must-have if he is fit and available for this double game week is Dominic Solanke. I think even the triple captaincy shout might be in there because it is some amazing fixtures. Sheffield United and Luton, both down there for XG conceded. Interestingly, Luton are 20th for XG conceded. I think Sheffield United are 17th over the past 5 game weeks. So both defences really struggling at the moment to keep clean sheets, conceding a lot of opportunities as well. And you would imagine someone like Dominic Solanke would be absolutely feasting over that period. The next 2 players, I think they both are really good options. Senesi's in here, but if he picks up a yellow card tomorrow, he for me is an asset I would not be touching. He's currently on 8 yellow cards. If he picks up another one tomorrow, that would be 9. So potentially could miss one of the double game week games. So that's not what we want to see. He does have that little bit more attacking threat over Zabania, but I think even if he does pick up that yellow card, it is just safe going for Zabania. He plays 90 minutes every single week, 4.4 million. You cannot go wrong. I do feel Senesi has that higher little bit of insight, kind of upside to his game with the goals and assists that he is capable of getting, especially from set pieces as well. Sheffield United are one of the teams that have have conceded the most set piece goals so far this season. So you could very easily see him going and getting a goal. But like I said, if he does pick up a yellow card in that Burnley game, for me, he would be a player I would be looking to avoid, because that would put him on 9. It means all he needs is one more yellow card to miss a game. So potentially could miss one of the double game week games or any of the kind of strong fixtures afterwards as well, if you did need him in the long term. Zabania, like I said, he just plays 90 minutes every single week. As you can see, no goals, no assists for him. Very little in terms of expected data, so I wouldn't be expecting too much other than maybe 1 or 2 clean sheets during that double game week. If he gets an attack in return, happy days, but for 4.4 million, I think you're laughing for a player that plays 90 minutes in, you know, a team that you would imagine should at least get 1 clean sheet during this double. So maybe might be worth a gamble if you don't fancy going for Senesi. But let me know what Bournemouth assets you're thinking about potentially investing in down in the comments. Moving on to the other side of the double game week, we're going to talk about Luton players and if it is worth potentially bringing any of these guys in. And at the moment, I don't think I'm going to invest any more Luton assets. They're currently 1-0 down to Aston Villa. Looks like they're getting a lot of defensive injuries as well. So I do feel that potentially limits the impact of Doherty as a longer term asset. He's currently playing centre-back as well in that Aston Villa game. Obviously, like I said, it is in the first half. So if any of these players do pick up any potential injuries, just ignore me. Skip on to the next part. But we're going to start off with Carlton Morris. I think for me, he might be one that I might consider potentially bringing in if Dominic Solanke is injured. Obviously has the double, then plays in the blank. I was considering maybe even taking Erling Haaland out for next week when they've got Liverpool, but I think that could be like me just having a little bit of a mental breakdown, to be honest. 7 goals, 6 assists for him. He's on penalties as well. He is Luton's key danger man going forward, especially with Adebayo out of action as well for this double game week. I do feel like Carlton Morris could be a very nice, easy pickup if you did want to go for the other forwards. Like I said, if Solanke isn't available, probably going to be a very popular pick for this double game week. But if Solanke is fit, I think you're probably going to have Solanke, Watkins and Haaland as your front three. So you're probably not even going to bother touching Carlton Morris. But he is probably the best Luton asset to go and grab for this game week. Doherty, a few weeks ago, I was very hot on him. Brought him into my team. 7 assists, 1 goal on a lot of free kicks, on a lot of set pieces. When he is playing at left wing back, he is absolutely quality, but with the injuries that Luton are now sustaining, he has moved into the centre-back position. They do play a back three, so, you know, it's kind of that left-hand side centre-back position. So I do think that makes him less of an impactful asset on the game, and I am a little bit more hesitant about recommending him to people. I think if he's back at that left wing slot, I think he's absolutely great, like a really, really good pick. But with the injuries that Luton are sustaining, Bell going off early in today's game against Aston Villa, I just think it makes him such like a poor asset to go for. You're paying 4.6 million for a centre-back. Like I said, one of the worst teams for XG conceded over the past 5 game weeks. He's going to lose that attacking output as well, which has got him so many points this season. So I think for me, any Luton defenders, probably not going to be recommended by me or on my transfer recommendations for this week. I just thought we'd include Doherty. He has been pretty good at picking up assists. I know a lot of us do own him as well. So if I did own him, like I do, I'm just going to keep him. Maybe look to get rid of him after game week 29. But yeah, I probably wouldn't be recommending him bringing him in this week, especially with him now playing at centre-back due to injuries in that Luton lineup. And then the final one is going to be Ross Barkley. Obviously had a little bit of a kind of twilight moment around the December-January period. 3 goals, 4 assists for him. Paul Merson calling him like the best player of the season. All right, Paul, calm it down. Pretty good goal involvement, to be honest, though, from Ross Barkley. But for me, both sides, neither of the midfield categories are really screaming, especially with the quality that we do have in those midfield areas popping up. You know, there's so many quality players that just outside of the double game week have a good fixture or play in 29 or have really good fixtures coming up. I think they massively outshine any of the double game week midfielders, so I would not be recommending any of them. I also think both goalkeepers are pretty steady options. Like, I wouldn't be, again, outlining and recommending going for either. I'm slightly in favour of Neto more than Kaminsky for this double game week, but again, both of them, I don't really like wasting free transfers on goalkeepers, so I wouldn't be recommending any of those to you this game week. Let me know any potential transfer kind of targets you're thinking about from these double game week side, and let's move on to the next section. Son is back and he has scored against Crystal Palace. He is now back on a lot of people's radars. Obviously, with Manchester City's fixtures taking a turn for the worse and a blank, a lot of people are going to be looking to remove KDB and Foden after this game week. Salah as well, still not fit and available. Again, Manchester City next week, then a blank. So I think Son is a great player to go and buy if you're not looking on that free hit. Obviously got the game in game week 29, Luton in game week 30 as well, as my laptop decides it just doesn't want to scroll down so I can see the rest of the Spurs fixtures. Luton after that, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, then it does kind of tail off with Newcastle, Manchester City and Arsenal. But for me, I think Son is a very clever pick if you're not on that free hit for 29. Villa away obviously is a red fixture and a lot of people will be seeing that and thinking that is quite difficult. The only thing that I'm going to say is that Aston Villa will be playing Ajax in the Europa Conference League 3 days before this game does take place. Then we'll be playing them the week after that as well. So I think there might be a little bit of switching, maybe priority changing for Aston Villa in that one. There might be a few players who are rotated, maybe a little bit jaded as well. The likes of Watkins, Louise, who seem to play every single minute for that Aston Villa side. They might see a little bit more rotation, might not be as sharp or at the races. So you think Spurs potentially could pull off a little bit of a result here away at Villa Park. Other than that though, a fixture in 29, good fixtures coming up for Son as well. Like I said, with the other high kind of premium assets not having fixtures in 29 or potentially taking a turn away, I think Son is a great buy to go and get this week. He's a player I'm going to go and bring into my team. I'm going to replace Phil Foden. I'm going to go and get Son. It was originally one of my plans to go and do it last week for KDB, but the FA Cup fixtures did kind of sway that decision and I did go against it in the end. But I definitely think this week, if KDB doesn't pull up any trees with Liverpool, then the blank coming up afterwards, I think Son would be a very smart suggestion. I think in 29 as well, I've said this in a few of my streams, I think him and Watkins are the absolute essentials if you're not on that free hit, or if you are on the free hit, both of those guys need to be in your teams, and does offer himself up as a potential captaincy option for that game week. Let me know, has Son's performance and getting back on the score sheet potentially made him a transfer target for you? Let me know in the comments section. And finally, finishing up today's video, I thought we would talk about Rodrigo Muniz, a player that I don't think anyone is kind of discussing within the FPL community at the moment. This lad, over the past 5 game weeks, has been cooking. 5 goals, 2 assists for him. Okay data, but the fixtures as well are pretty interesting stuff. Wolves away next week. Obviously, Wolves are a little bit of kind of a hit and miss team. It's very hard to predict what they're going to do week by week. Obviously, this week they did fall down to a 3-0 defeat away at Newcastle. Fulham as well have been playing some pretty sexy stuff over the past few game weeks. Obviously beating Manchester United, beating Brighton today as well, so could pull up another good result there. Then they do have a game in game week 29. It is against Tottenham, but for a 4.5 million player, there's only 4 fixtures. He might score. He's in very good form at the moment, so that could be a possibility. And then after that, interestingly, Fulham's fixtures are pretty decent. Sheffield United, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, West Ham, some pretty good games. So if Muniz can continue to keep putting the ball in the back of the net, he could be a great cheap striker option. Obviously though, like I did say in the last section with Carter and Morris, I do feel the attacking options at the moment are absolutely ridiculous in the game. Ollie Watkins has just scored again for Aston Villa against Luton. He's on an absolutely incredible run. Dominic Solanke, if he's fit and available for the double, that's another forward there. Morris with a double game week as well. Ivan Toney featuring in this blank game week. There's a lot of high quality forward options. So does Muniz make it in? I think obviously if you've got the kind of team structure where you do have a 4.5 million, maybe you need that player who's going to feature in game week 29. He potentially could offer himself up as a great little option there. Keeps the budget down, keeps your budget elsewhere for midfield. Maybe if it allows you to go and get Son, I think that could be a really, really good move as well. But for me personally, I think he is probably not going to be a player I'm going to be able to bring into my team, maybe until game week 30, just down to the fact of the quality of forwards I do have in my side and the quality of the forwards in the game. It doesn't mean he's not a good pick. I just think there are better options potentially out there. If you did enjoy today's video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That's the main one, as like I said, we're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck this game week.